Lucian, and today I decided we are going to. Oh, I was like, what's with my hair? That's why I forgot. So today we are going to be talking about the basics of Deity altar setups 101. And Dave is on the phone, which is making it slightly awkward, but that's okay. So hold on, I'm just gonna clip my hair up here. Boop. So in a minute, when Dave is off of the phone, we will be discussing about the altars. I'll be giving you guys an altar tour of my altars. And then together, Dave and I will answer any questions that you guys have and talk a little bit more about altars, how to set them up, and stuff like that.
All right, cool. Thanks, you too.
Sorry, I'm just waiting for Dave to like get off the phone. You good? Well, okay. No one's here. That's okay. I guess I will just go ahead and start showing. And I will explain a little bit about the altars. Oop, and hold on, my computer just went off. And just kind of show a little bit about my altars. So let's get started. So what I'm going to do is travel over to my altar and I'll show you guys what is going on. Here it is. Doop. So here is my ancestral altar setup, you guys. Alexa, turn ancestral light to 100.
Okay.
So this is what it looks like. And what do I have? So of course I have bells. Alexa, stop. I have bells on my altar, which those I don't actually use, but to me I use them as like to attract the ancestral spirits to our plane when I'm calling them. Of course, I have some incense burning in two different locations, and incense is used kind of like to me as a pathway, guiding the spirits from the spirit realm to our realm. And then, of course, I have my big cauldron. Inside are some crosses. And the reason behind crosses is because in Hoodoo, crosses represent the doorway between the physical realm and the spiritual realm. And of course, as offerings, I have water, I have coffee right here, I have some rum, I have bloodstone, and then I also have bloodroot. And the reason why I have bloodroot and bloodstone is because to me, it represents like the blood that flows between me and the ancestors. And then, of course, I have some lights, which I forgot to light up, and plus because these ones are kind of dead anyways. But I have those to act as like a beacon for the ancestors so they know how to find their way here from the spiritual realm. And then in here, oh geez, why is it stuck? Hold on. I have, when it's not stuck. Oh, come on. Dave, can you help me?
What's your problem?
I can't open this.
Because you're crazy.
Well, Dave's helping me with that one. I'll open up this one.
How do you open them?
So in this, I have sand, and sand represents the element earth, which I believe the ancestors represent.
Thing.
No, 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 no. Put that down.
I don't know how to get it
Not
open.
opening that, Dave.
What are you talking
This.
about? Well, that's not what you pointed to. My
Hi, Trinity Knot. Sorry.
Oh, God. Why is it there?
Thank you. And here we have red brick dust, which in Hoodoo is used for protection. So this lower level is kind of like my working ancestral altar where I can do any meditation, offerings, I do any spell casting around here if I need to, any protective work. And then up here is the ancestral realm altar. So on it, of course, I have my skull, which represents the ancestors. I have prayer beads that I made. And then I have this cool little crystal. It is actually serpentine that has a skull and it's kind of like a tree thing. And I have this disc to represent the ancestors. That's okay, Kay. So on my ancestral altar, I also have graveyard dirt for protection. I have some, what's it called? Florida water that I use to cleanse the area and the space before I commune with the ancestors. I have some flowers as an offering. And in this little jar here, or whatever this is, bin, I have money that I leave as offerings. Every single day when I get tips, I actually leave all my change, bring it home, and leave it in here as an offering to the ancestors. And then, of course, I have two little ancestral scullies on the ancestral altar just to protect the space. And then just some little bits here that I found interesting, and I was like, ooh, these are kind of pretty. I'll leave them as more offerings to the ancestors in hopes that they will accept them. And then I have on here Life Everlasting. Now, this herb, Life Everlasting, is actually used for to contact and have a connection to the spirit realm, as well as psychic work, and it is also known as an ancestral herb. And then up here, I just have my ancestral bell that I use to commune with them. And then I have two little obsidian crow statues because obsidian is used for protection. And the crow actually represents as a messenger between realms. So that is my ancestral realm or ancestral altar up here. And then my working ancestral altar down here. So I'll just kind of pan again slowly so you guys can see. And hello everyone coming in. So that is basically what is on my ancestral altar. And then I'll show you over here. Alexa, turn on table.
Okay.
So this is my tarot table, also my artwork, where I've been working on my grimoire. That's why I have the paints and stuff over here and stuff over there. And then my little tarot stuff here and there, some herbs and whatnot and crystals. And then right here, Dave, we have... Oh, he can't hear me. He has his earphones on. We have my Baon Cimetière little altar. Because, guys, altars don't have to be huge. They can actually be very tiny, compact, and meaningful as long as you have the basics. So on here, I have a candle to light because all altars, I always put a candle on. And here is just a little cauldron that has nothing in it right now, but I cleaned it out, that's why. But I usually burn some incense in there for him. And then I have a little statue right here. Ow, I just burnt my finger. As a representation and a conduit for Baon Simdi, as he is the Loa of death and resurrection, as well as guardian and gatekeeper of the cemeteries. That's why I have him sitting on a little coffin and then little tombstones to represent. And then I also have, what do you do with the money on the altar once it's full? Girl, once it's full, I celebrate and I go to Coinstar, get the cash and spend it and thank the ancestors for their abundance. No, seriously, I actually do that. And then I put also on Baon Simdi's altar is skulls because he is the Loa of death and resurrection. And skulls can also mean death, but also they represent the ancestors. And I have two little shot glasses on either side full of rum because rum is his main offering that he really likes. He really likes things like cigars and rum. He's a very classy but also very boisterous kind of spirit or deity. And the reason why I have two shot glasses on this altar is because I have one for him and then I have a shot for myself. So I basically take a shot with him as I call upon him. And then behind the little statue, I have this beautiful jar that I got from Savers. And the lid actually pops, boop, right off. And inside, I have graveyard dirt collected from the entrance of the entrance of a graveyard, because that is where he resides. So it's kind of like a little piece of home for him in a jar, so that when we commune, he has kind of a little place to reside in that feels like home to him. And then, of course, I just embellished it with more things like the cross, which, again, as I said earlier, represents the spirit realm, the crossroads. It's also a representation of the 4 elements and the 4 directions. So yeah, that is how my altars are set up. Hold on, I'm just gonna swivel this back this way for a minute. And try not to show you that dirty ass room. So when I set up my altars, most of the time they are very small, compact, because we don't have a lot of space. But I usually have in the past had, actually at one point I think I had up to 7 different altars around the house. And then of course I took a lot of them down because it was starting to feel a little busy, and we wanted to kind of lessen the stuff and make it a little bit more polished and not as messy looking, because when you have a million altars around, it can start to look like it's cluttered. So we wanted to clutter a lot. But let me flip back this way. As you can tell, those are 2 very different types of altar setups that I have. So this one kind of shows you more of the simplicity aspect of setting up an altar, because a lot of the time people will be like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to put on my altar. They feel like they have to have a million things. But this just shows you that it can be very classy, very simple. And this altar setup shows more of the simplistic side. Whereas if we pan back over here, this ancestral altar is a lot more elaborate. But because I work more with the ancestors than I do with Baron Cimetier. Now, the reason being is because in Hoodoo, we believe that you always work with the ancestors first and foremost before you go to any of the higher realm Loa, like Baron Semdi or Papa Legba. Those guys, they're more for if you have an issue that the ancestors cannot solve. If the ancestors cannot help, then the Loa spirits or the Orishas are your second kind of tier to help you. But we believe that your ancestors are the ones that you always go to first for anything. Because your ancestors are the ones that guide you, they protect you, they help you when you need it. So that is the reason why I set up this ancestral altar, so I can commune with them. Because like what I said in the last live, is that ancestral or altars are basically used to commune with that spirit or that deity, so that you can form a relationship with them. Because it's not like a telephone call where you're just calling them, hey, ancestors, what's up? I need you to help bring in some money, and then that's it. You hang up the phone and you expect them to do all the work with you. Having an altar shows in the effort, the fact that you are wanting to get to know them more, they get to know you more, and in turn, it's that, I don't know the word, where you're working together kind of relationship. But yeah, so that is what I have on my altar. And I know, sorry guys, you guys all came in kind of late, so I already started. So you might have to rewind. I already went through the working altar setup, what I had on it, the offerings, the kind of things I had around it and its purpose, and then same with this. So I am going to bring this back to the living room, and we will talk a bit more about setups. And if you guys have any questions, if you have any specific altars that you guys are trying to set up but are a little bit stumped on and you need any questions answered, so now is the best time to do that. Hold on. Ugh. Hold on, I'm just trying to get Dave out of the ether.
I'm not.
Okay, ready?
What?
So we're just going to talk now about altars. So I'm just going to go back up. So hello, Kay. Hello, Trinity Knot. Hello, Journaler's Journey. Oh, Lori. Hi, Lori. Hi, Sarana. Hi, Kay. And hi, B Jam. So Sarana just asked, do you find things like boxes to raise a part of your altar? Um, Wait, do you find things like boxes to raise a part of the altar increases space or makes it more cluttered? Um, it kind of does both in a way because when you
Yeah,
think about it, when you raise it up, it gives you more ability to build your altar going up. But the downfall to that is as you go up more, you're adding more things.
yeah. The box is a
So
thing, so it
yeah, it's
clutters
like
things
you're
up.
adding an extra thing to add more things. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword where it's like it could be a positive and a negative at the same time.
Kind of how it's done.
Yeah.
People tend to put a box on their altar and then overcrowd this box.
Yep.
Now, if you have a box on, like, I don't have it now, but actually I do. But my altar's a mess. But my Baron, my God, I can't say his name. Baron Samney, yeah, is up on a small box. So basically, what I'm saying is, if you get a box, put a few things on it.
Yeah, you don't need to
know?
overcrowd it. Like, for example, when I had my Marie Laveau altar set up, I had multiple tiers, but on each tier, there were only a few things. So there was a basic, like the bookshelf, actually, that I showed for my ancestral altar, that used to be Marie Laveau. So where you saw the working altar, that was for purely just all the offerings that I gave to her. And pictures of the saints, and all the offerings were just specifically on the top of the bookshelf. The next stage that you saw the offerings for the ancestors, that only just had 2 candles. And then the third tier, where the top is where I had the bell, that purely just had a statue of Marie Laveau, and that was it. So
Well,
even though it created more space, I had less as I moved upward.
yeah, and keeps it simple.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hi, Sonia. There was something else I was going to say about the boxes. Oh, also, another thing I learned, when you raise certain things, you want to think about that because when you're raising things, most of the time in hoodoo, when you elevate it with a box or something, it's because it's believed that you're raising the vibrations and the deity itself so that it's higher than you, which is why a lot of the times when I have altars set up, I try and not have it floor level. Yeah, in hoodoo, it's believed that the ancestors are meant to be more on the ground, like literally on the floor, because they believe that it's closer to the element earth. But honestly, I work with where it's most convenient to me. I can't necessarily put it on the floor because all the areas in my house where there's floor, it's kind of like foot traffic, and I don't want to knock anything over as I'm walking.
Plus, you can make it your own. There's no, you know, I don't. I'm from the school where there's no wrong way of doing it. You got to do what works for you. Some people only have the top of a bureau to use as an altar.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of make that space work.
Yeah. To me, because a lot of the time you'll hear people saying like, oh, your altar needs to be in this part of the house facing this direction on. And to me, to me, it's all about work with what you have and put it where it makes sense. So the reason why I put it in that corner area is because it faces the door. And to me, it's like they're the first line of defense against any negative energy trying to come through the door, any negative forces that may try to enter. So that's why I put it there.
Yeah, and I put mine here because I didn't have a choice.
Shh! They don't know that, Dave.
Well, they do now.
Oh, so yeah, Sarana just said, I love how your ancestor altars have like no pictures. That makes me feel a little bit less odd that I don't have pictures for mine. The reason why I don't have any pictures is because I would have put pictures of Dave's parents, but you don't have any photos, do you? He did have one, but I don't know where that went.
No,
And then I actually don't have any photos of my grandparents. My parents do, but of course I'm not going to call them. Well, actually I could ask them. Yeah, I should probably ask them, see if my mom has any photos of my grandparents that they can send us. Because, I mean, you don't necessarily have to have photos on your altar. I've seen altars like that because technically
That's
what I
all it's in
have,
here.
yeah, is also in Santeria. It's called a boveda. A boveda is not essentially an ancestral altar, but it's more of like a focal point. Um, of ancestral energy where you can commune with them. And a boveda is set up specifically, but actually you don't put photos on the boveda.
Hold on. What did Oh,
So
you use this. You can't put them up there. Bijam said, I realized that I built an altar without realizing. I, yes. Yeah. I had an ancestor altar before I even knew what one was.
yeah,
And it was in that spot. And basically,
until I took over.
yeah, basically, and I got to find them. They're in my altar drawer. I have two prayer cards, for one for each parent. And I had those on display. It had their obituary on it. And on the back, it had, a prayer. But yeah, they got ousted.
Ooh, this is a good question. Sarana just asked, do food and drink offering plates have to be big? How do I fit food offerings on a small space? So, as you saw, my areas have very, very little space to put food. So, what you actually do is, do you have it? No, I have actually, hold on, Dave, talk for a second.
What can I say? I'm married to a crazy person. That's what I'm going to say. See, I have items from my parents on my ancestors. Yeah, yeah. I had a memorial, as I called it, set up from when my parents, long before I knew it was an ancestral altar.
So what you could do is if you don't, obviously if you have small spaces, this is what I do. So see this tiny little tea set where it's the cup and then the saucer? Is I will use this as like a little shot glass to put rum or coffee or whatever on one side. And then I'll use the small saucer as like a food offering plate. It can be even something really, really tiny.
You know what's weird? I don't do food offerings like that. I do a lot of herb offerings.
And I do actually a lot of liquid offerings. Like, as you saw earlier, I have
And-
rum, I had coffee, I have water.
And I will burn my offerings in a ceremony, so I don't offer them to my deities. I offer to share with my deities. I think that way that it for me, it just brings me closer to that particular deity.
Sorry, my hair's like all out of whack. Also, another good thing, you guys, is you don't realize you do this, but the way I do my offerings is when you wake up in the morning, because a lot of the time people are like, okay, how do I connect to my ancestors? You can connect to them throughout your daily routine. Make your routine during the day part of your connecting to your deities and your ancestors. So, for example, when you wake up and you go make that cup of coffee, pour yourself a cup, whip out a tiny little shot glass, and pour that a little bit of the remaining coffee into the saucer, sit down, put that little shot glass on the altar and drink your tea with them and or coffee or whatever it is you just made and talk to them about the things that you want to have happen throughout the day, fears, concerns, as I said. Talk to them like you are talking to a friend, like we're talking right now. And then same thing, like before you go to bed at night, after you've had dinner, instead of scraping the remains of your plate and throwing it into the trash, you can actually scrape some of the food that you had just made onto a tiny plate and set that on your altar. So it's like you're sharing your food that you just made for dinner with the deities and your ancestors. So doing that in the morning and at night, it's automatically creating that connection between you and the deities. And Lori just said, I have items from my grandparents in my ancestor space instead of photos. For example, I have a statue that can hold a plant that was my grandmother's, and that's fantastic. Ancestral altars, guys, or any kind of altar, doesn't have to always have photos. Literally, you don't even really need a statue if you don't have one. You don't have to go out and get anything expensive. Literally, the most simplest thing you can do for an altar is a glass of water, incense, candle, and some flowers, and that there you have an entire altar right there for setup. That's simple. Anything that is in connection to the ancestors or to the deities, things they liked, thing obviously you don't want to put things they disliked in life, but that is considered a good offering to the ancestors or any deities that you work with. Just like with Dave, he puts offerings of bay leaf sometimes because he knows that Apollo loves bay leaves, so he burns that as an offering. Whereas me, I don't have always leave food offerings. I like to give them more liquid offerings.
Yeah, it's all on what your heart drives you to do.
Yeah, it's all on what you think the deities and the ancestors will like. Because a lot of the time, people tend to put the deities on pedestals and think, like, oh, you have to have your altar set up this specific way, and you must have this, this, and this, and this. But when you look about it online, you'll see that deities have this long, long list of foods, colors, days that you work with them, foods that they liked. And it's like this entire list. And people think that you have to go crazy buying all this food, all these drinks that they like, all these other things. And honestly, what I do is I go through the list and pick out probably one, two, or three things that will appease them. Because to me, deities are not up on a throne. They don't go, oh, well, this person only left me one little piece of chicken wing, but this person over here left me a whole McMeal. It's like, no, they're not sitting there favoring someone else and saying you didn't give them enough, so they're not going to come talk to you.
Ain't no thing like a chicken wing.
Right? Ain't no thing like a chicken wing. They're just happy that you are giving thanks to them, that you're speaking to them. And yeah, as I said, and we'll say over and over, it's all about that connection you make. That's what they're looking for, is that connection, not how much you can cram onto an altar for them.
Now, is there a difference for you in dealing with like an ancestral altar, which is to the ancestor, and a deity altar, which when you work with your deities, do you approach them different or do you approach them similarly?
Um, that's a good question. I actually never really thought about that. Um, no, actually, I kind of approach them the same way I would. The only difference is the things that I need them for. Obviously, as I said
Yeah.
earlier, with everything in life, all my issues, I always, always, always go to my ancestors first. If it's a bigger problem that I know they won't be able to help me with, then I'll go to a higher deity. But the way I approach the
It's
deities
like the Supreme
or my
Court.
altars are always the same. I still view them as like, oh, hey, I'm talking to a best friend. I'm not thinking like, oh, my ancestors are my best friend, and this deity over here is like my friend's great 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 grandmother
Great Aunt
that
Tessie.
she's like so old and ancient, and she needs to have like hoopla all around her as I'm speaking to her. No,
Yeah, I
there's
do
no
it.
bells and whistles.
Yeah, I talk to them like they're my friends. Like, I, I even get pissed at them sometimes. Like, I've yelled at Apollo a few times.
Oh, actually, here's another interesting thing is
You're buffering.
I know on there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, did I even never press play? Why is it buffering? Oh, now it's not. Anyways,
Hi, Raven.
hi Raven. I will tell you a little quick story on the proof of how important it is to create that connection with whatever deity or ancestors and the power of its effect. So, for a good week, I had been drawn to Persephone. She was my newest deity that I was like, I'm really drawn to her. Um, I love her story. I really want to work with her. I set up an altar for her. Every day I would light the altar. I'd leave her an offering. I'd talk to her. And then a week later, this actually, a lot of people already know this story, but it was the week in which Thor got outside. He managed to get through the dog door and he just ran off outside. And that morning, we couldn't find him anywhere. We were freaking out.
I was at work. He was home
Yeah,
freaking out.
I was at home. Dave was at work. I was freaking out, going, I can't find Thor. I have no idea where he is. I think he got out. and I was like, oh my god, freaking out. I'm like, I have to go to work.
Yeah.
So I
And I
went
was
to
and I
work.
was saying, go to work.
Yeah.
Mitch will come back when he's hungry.
Yeah. And I went to work, was like beside myself all day at work, thinking like, oh my god, what if he gets run over by a car? What if he gets eaten by like a bald eagle? Or what if someone steals him and makes them their own pet? So
Slaves
this,
them.
no joke, is what happened. I rolled in to the driveway, sat there for a second, threw up my hands, and literally screamed, Persephone, please, please hear my plea, hear my prayer. You know I've been working with you for a week, and I honor you, and I hope you can hear my prayer. If you hear me, bring Thor home to us safe and sound. No joke. I went from looking up at my ceiling of my car, looked forward, and there was Thor. He came right out the side of the corner of the house, just staring at me right after I just said that prayer to Persephone. And I got outside with my car of. Wait, with my car. No, I got outside
You
with
got
my
outside
car.
with your car?
With a little baggie of treats, lured Thor into the house, hugged him, and I thanked Persephone. I lit her altar, and I just thanked her for listening to my prayer when I needed her most.
Lord, hear our
So-
prayer.
Oh, gee. Jeez, say it that way. So, sorry, I'm just gonna read some more of the comments here. Serena, Kay just said, we use the small terracotta saucers from gardening center in my family. We're supposed to leave in the wild after. Yes, I love those tiny saucers. I actually have one on my station at work that actually has a jar that I created for prosperity, and then my little jade frog on top of it.
What else? Sauce on what? What kind of sauces?
The gardening saucers, you know, the one that's right there. We have a big
Oh,
one where the bottle
yeah,
is.
the gardening sauces.
Yeah, those are very, very good for offering plates. as
They're
well, I guess.
great. They are great. I like to set up mini. I don't know what you call them, memorials or altars or something like that in the backyard. You
Yeah.
put one down, and like if you have statues that are hardy and can withstand the weather, you put those in there. You can put like all kinds of seashells, rocks, all kinds of stuff in there. And I will set up one for each of my deities, especially the deities in that I'm working with in that particular day. Love them. They're good.
Sorry, Sarana just said, Kay, that's one thing the ancient Egyptians did. So cool, especially specifically with terracotta. I agree, that's super cool. And I use them now a lot for a lot of my offerings. Kay, I didn't know that Egyptians did that too. Sarana, BJam, I love terracotta things. So do I. Terracotta is awesome.
What's terracotta?
It's like the color. It's clay. It's like the clay
Oh,
sauce.
the color. Yeah.
yeah, terracotta
Okay.
shade.
Yeah.
It's like the plant, what the plant stuff's made of. Well, not the plant stuff, but you know, like the plant.
Walk like an
Stuff.
Egyptian.
Sarana just said, I don't have stuff for this yet, but something in ancient Egyptians did was instead of an altar, they would have a tray, an offering table, and put it on top of a stand. Exactly. In a way, that's an altar.
It's an altar.
Right there.
Actually, the ancient Greeks, when in the Romans, so the ancient Greeks at the base of Mount Olympus, their altar, because what they would do at the base of the mountain is that's where they would do their offerings to the gods up on Mount Olympus, and their altar was, basically a flat rock or just a place. It didn't have to be anything crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Then, of course, as they evolved, they built big proper marble altars.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it can whatever works for you. I love the I have more stuff outside than I do inside. It's the opposite of Lucian, because I love the whole outside altar.
What do you have
thing.
outside?
I have.
You have nothing outside.
Yes, I do.
I have a little Legba statue or altar outside.
That's the front. I'm talking about the back.
Yeah, what's
Anyways,
out in the
yes.
back that you have that's an altar?
I have behind the shed. I have an altar. I have the what you call it, the nature altar, the earth, ground, whatever. It's behind the shed. Then I have on the opposite corner, under the tree, beside the wood pile, I have another altar.
Are they elemental altars?
They're mostly elemental, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll have to go check out. See if you're telling the truth.
Yep. And then towards the deck, where the sun hits the most, is the elemental fire altar.
Interessante.
Yes, and move them.
Um,
Good lord.
So Sorange said, yeah, but they leave little terracotta things outside the temple. Raven said hi. Kay said, I need to step up my altar game. Guys, honestly, again, altars are not, it's not a competition between who has the most fanciest altar, who has the coolest looking altar. Altars are personal to you, so whatever you feel an altar needs on it is, then go with your instinct.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing I can tell you. Go with your instinct.
Your altar will evolve
It will evolve.
to meet your needs. There are sometimes, like, my altars are I just have a lot going on. So my altars are an utter disaster. There's just so much stuff, it's a cluttered mess. Sometimes when I have less going on, they're more, they're neater. But I need to, the things. I've got my egg there for a purpose. I've got a puppet there for a purpose. Jesus is there for a purpose. Persephone's there for a purpose. Everything is there, is working on me. I even have my vape on it. So, just in case I need to get lifted while I'm praying.
But no, it's like, as Dave said, your altars will evolve as you evolve down your path. I can't tell you how many, Dave can vouch, how many times I've changed my ancestral altar. I've probably changed it like 10 plus times over the years.
More than 10 plus
okay,
times.
probably 10 plus times.
Look at about
like 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And
I wake up, what are you doing? I'm changing my altars. Like, they're not babies. You don't keep changing them.
They change. They're like, well, you don't change them every day going, okay.
You don't tear them down and rebuild them.
And rebuild them.
Yes, they do change. My altars are forever changing, but it's a thing here, a thing there. It just evolves. It just changes.
And you'll feel when it's time to add or take away something on your altar. I can't tell you how many times when I'll be cleaning and then all of a sudden I'll be like, you know what? This kind of has to go. Let's replace this with this instead because you kind of get that sense like with that connection I was talking about with your deities and your ancestors, you'll be like, okay, it's time for this to go because they aren't quite happy with that. Or you feel that sense of like it's time for a change because not that they're getting bored, but they just kind of want something different and it's time to change it.
Yeah, it's all.
But that doesn't mean you tear the entire altar down and start from scratch.
Well,
again.
for a while, that's what you did.
Shh. That's when I was just starting my path dawning.
But yeah, it's gonna be what works for you. I hate when people would do with all these rules. You've got to do this and you have to do that. And your this altar has to aim just east southeast and no. There are people that live in apartments and have very limited space and they'll have a little altar. There are people that travel. I've used travel altars. But I have one around here somewhere. It's this big.
Yeah, I even have travel altars that I've made before that are literally like in a tiny, tiny, tiny box. Very, very, very good question. So Sarana just said, can altars sometimes pick up negativity? What can you do about it?
Sage, and cleanse.
Yes, that will help.
Singing bowls, any kind of cleansing.
Bye, BJam. Thanks for stopping by. One thing that I will tell you is it's believed not to post your altars on Instagram, Facebook, social media, because altars are a source of your power.
It's a sacred
It's your sacred space. It represents who you are. It's your energy. So that's why it's believed that if you post your altars on social media and you have a friend that all of a sudden you become enemies and they want to attack you, they can attack your altar because it's a source of your strength and your power. So to avoid it, like how I did it, the way my altar is set up, it's actually not set up how I normally have it. I changed things around. I I'll admit I did add a couple things on there just to make it different from how I normally have it set up. So that isn't exactly how I have it, but
It's
you can
altar
post your altars.
camouflage.
I'm not saying you can't post your altars on social media. It's just frowned upon. But if you do, you want to shift some things around so it's not exact to how you'd have it.
Yeah, my altars evolve by the week, so
Yeah, and then if
I don't
someone
even worry
does
about
do
that.
something, honestly, just get a reversing candle, light it on your altar, spray it with some Florida water, sage, clear the energy of any negativity, and you are good to go.
This altar has 3 deities and 2 dragons on it. If someone wants to come in, I pity the fool that comes near this altar.
Right. um. Oh, another thing, actually, that I was just thinking about because I've had someone ask me this before. Do you feel well, judging by Dave's altar, I get a lot of people asking, is it okay to combine altars or can you put certain deities together on the same kind of altar?
Oh, they all getting in
Now,
together.
that's a tricky question because some deities do not get along, some do. And some people believe that out of respect, each deity needs to have its own altar. But to me, it really depends on the dynamics of the deities and how they get along with each other. For example, like the Orishas. As you get to know them, you'll find out, okay, this person was in love with this person. This person used to be with this person, but got dumped by them. So obviously, you wouldn't pair the Orishas together that don't like each other, because then you would have chaos. A lot of the time, people ask, is it okay to mix different deities on the same altar? As you saw, Dave, I
So
think it's fine.
I do. I personally, I believe that each deity is layered and existing in a different point in the astral plane. So, but they're there. Think of it like a jukebox, actually. When I'm working with Jesus, I work with Jesus on that altar, and I just, Persephone and Baron Samedi, they're not there as it. Not that they're not there, but in that session, they're not there. Or if I'm working with Baron Samedi, I just focus on that particular item, and you just kind of tune out the other ones because I believe it's kind of like the veil on how just be careful on Halloween, but there's like a veil between them. So just because Jesus and they're all sitting side by each over there, they're not sitting there giving each other Jesus isn't shooting Persephone the eyes. I believe they're veiled.
Also, another thing I just thought of, when you think about it, for example, the Orisha, I used to have them completely separate on their own. Certain Orishas I will put together because they're actually best friends and it's okay to have them together. Certain Orishas don't like each other, so I would keep them separate. It's all about respecting the deities and who they like, who they don't like, who they will get along with, who they don't. But when you think about it, Orishas, Loa, uh, the Greek pantheon, they're all amplifications of nature itself. They all in real life have certain areas and domains
They
that they
have,
look
yeah,
over.
they have.
So, for example, Papa Legba, he rules the crossroads. His actual domain is out there in the streets. He's not sitting on an altar.
Yeah.
The
Apollo
is up in the sun, in the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have Yemaya, who is of the ocean. She resides over water.
Diana.
They're all in different areas around the world and in nature.
Yeah, Diana's in the forest.
When you think about it, altars are just conduits for
That's
them.
what they-
So that's why
what
I
they
do
are.
feel it's okay to put statues, because it's just a representation and just a conduit, on the same altar. But keeping respectful of the deities that you may want to commune with them at different times, not at the same time
Oh,
together.
of course, yeah.
Just out of respect of that deity.
Unless
Because it's kind of rude to call upon like Hecate and Papa Legba at the same time, because they're two conflicting, well, not conflicted, two opposite, well, not opposite, they're two different deities. It's kind of like, okay, they'd be sitting there like, okay, I thought you wanted my help. Why is he here?
You do it
Or
at different times.
yeah, just do it in different times.
Now, if there's deities, and what you could do, some ideas, if there's deities that you want to have together, you can put them in a specific spot together, or put them on a box together. That's a great use for we're talking about the boxes on the altar. Now, my altars, all my Greco-Roman deities, I'm in a separate. They're actually in my crystal corner, whereas I have Jesus and Persephone and Baron Samedi on my kind of my working altar. It just I don't work with them at the same time. There's times I'm working just with Jesus. There's times I'm working, with Persephone or the Greek. So Zeus, Diana, and Apollo, I will work with together. They're the same family. So they're a family, so they do get along. They fight from time to time, but they get. So I will work with them all together.
Yeah.
Some at times.
And it's okay to actually pair up deities of the same pantheon. So, for example, the Orisha, at one point, I had them all on the same altar. Well, a couple of them on the same altar, but I tiered them in different levels. So, for example, I had Obatala at the very, very top because he's considered the father of all the Orishas. He has to be the highest above all the others. And then I had Legba, not Legba, sorry, awkward, Elegua, and Oya on the next tier because they're the most important that I call upon. Oya and Elegua, you always have to when you're calling upon any. He's like the gatekeeper between all of them. And then the next level, I had like a couple of them that I knew were friends, but I knew they'd get along. So it's like all of them were on the same one, just in different tiers.
Yeah, well, that's what I was talking about with the boxes. It basically comes down to a logical separation, so that way you can use that altar, but focus your thoughts on that deity. Now I don't need to do that. For me, I can just focus on that deity. They're all at the same level. I don't know, Papa. Baron Samedi's up a little higher over there because he's a big one up there. He's bigger than the other statues.
And Kay, I agree with you. I wouldn't put Oya and Oshun together because those two do not like each other one bit. And there is a story that dates back on why they don't like each other. So yeah, there are certain Orisha that obviously, as I said earlier, I wouldn't put together or on the same altar. But you just have to be strategic.
Yeah, I mean, if they're in the same existence realm, if you would, and they hate each other, that's the one time you wouldn't put the two on the altar. Like you wouldn't put, you would not put a statue of Lucifer and Jesus on the same altar.
No.
That's just begging for problems.
Right. That's begging for spiritual war right there.
You're right. You wake up. And
No, you know what
shit'll be
that's
all
calling? That's
over the
calling
place.
supernatural. The war between heaven and hell. So actually, Sarana just asked a very, very good question again. She asked, people say altars are portals. How do you feel about that? Now, when you say portal, what do you mean by portal? Are we thinking about portal like portal to hell, like demons can pop in and out? Or are we thinking portal as in like it opens up a gateway between the spirit realm and the physical plane? Because those are two different things that I have two different feelings about.
I will give a much simpler answer to that. Altars are no more or no less than a sacred working space. That's what they are. So what that means is they can be whatever your intent to them. If it's an ancestral altar, it's that sacred space that you work with your ancestors. So if you want it to be a portal, it'll be a portal.
Well, as I said earlier, it's a conduit.
But that's because that's your
energy.
intent. That's your intent.
Yeah, I wouldn't really. Do I think that it's a portal that will open up demons from the hell dimension? No, it's not that kind of portal because it's a focused altar of intent. You're calling upon a specific entity. You're not opening up a random portal saying, okay, whatever comes through, comes through.
And you actually bring them to you.
Yeah.
They're coming to your space.
You know
to
exactly
communicate.
who you're calling upon. It's not like with the Ouija board where you can get anything coming through because it's
Yeah.
not specific at all.
Yeah,
Um,
I pity the demon that follows Baron Samedi through
right,
the altar.
right.
You know, what are you
He'll
following?
fuck his shit up.
Exactly.
Um, do I feel that it's a portal in a sense, a gateway between realms? Yes, I do, absolutely do, because as I said earlier, altar is your space. It's your energy being mixed with that deity, and it's also acting as a portal between realms. So, for example, the ancestral altar is a portal between the spirit realm and the existing one,
Yeah.
so that when you call upon them, you're essentially using the altar to open up a rift between the spiritual realm and the physical so that you can call them forth from the veil.
Yeah. I mean, but I still think that's more intent than altar itself. Case in point, when you talk about realms, when you astral project,
Oh, okay.
right?
So Sorana said yes. She meant portal to the spiritual plane. Yes, I do. Absolutely.
Yeah, I still think it's intent. You know, you could use it for that purpose. Like over here with my bongs is, and I really gotta not do that. But
The Buddha bong altar.
My Buddha altar, I have a big Buddha head. I don't work with Buddha. I love his teachings, but I don't work with them. But I do have a well, it's an altar, but it's more of like a shrine. So I don't consider that a portal. That's what I mean by it depends on the intent. It's just like a shrine. Just like that under the TV. I don't know who that statue is.
Oh, that's just a statue. I just got it because it looks cool. Actually, no, I like that. I actually got that in representation of Papa Legba. Or
Okay.
Elegua, either or.
Now to me, it's just I think to me, when I look at it, to me it's really indicative to me. I get that ancestral altar vibe from it. Again, I don't use it as a portal. It's just now to enshrine, if you would, my ancestors. I guess so. It's weird.
So, Raven Morning Glory just said, could you put different ones on trays, but put the trays on the same table? Of course you can.
Yeah.
Because they're not essentially right next to each other. So, for example, when I said earlier, I put Orishas together that got along with each other, but I literally had them side by side. I had like, who did I have? I think it was Shango next to. Well, no, like I said earlier, I had Obatala at the front, and then I had Shango, and I had no, not Shango. Who was it? It was Oya and Elegua next to each other, like literally next to each other, like this, because I was running out of space to put them because of my millions of altars I had set up. But yes, you can have them on trays, having their own altar stuff, and then put those same trays on the same table, because even though they're in the same plane, they each have their own kind of like little thing going on, even if it's like kind of next to each other.
You can even use a bookcase.
Yeah.
And just the shelves.
Yeah.
It's on the same.
I've
thing.
done that before.
That's that.
Where
yeah.
I've had used a bookshelf to use as an altar, and then put something above that. But even though they're kind of next to each other, they're kind of separated by height.
They're actually separate.
So yeah, and I've done that on a bigger table. I've had 4 different altars going on at once, but they were a bit different because they were all different levels.
Yeah.
So I had one literally on the table, and then I put a box up here, and then I had an altar up here, and then I stacked like a higher table, and then there was something up here where it was all on one table, but there are multiple different altars set up. Yeah.
What good ideas, both
Trays and bookshelves. Oh yeah, guys. Like, a lot of people forget that you can utilize a lot of different space for altars. It doesn't have to be like exactly in this part of the house facing this direction. Honestly, I don't deal with the whole directions thing. I deal with what's available for space in my house.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like hold on. I got to rotate the entire house so that this corner faces east.
Right, because like some
Get out
people
and
are
push!
like, right, because some people are like, okay, like your ancestral altar has to be facing the door, and the door has to be facing east, but or where the sun rises. But it's like, what if it rises at the back of the house?
What if this is east and your house is like this?
Right.
What are you gonna put it like
Like the sun
off
for
the-
us, the sun rises over there,
Yeah,
but our
yeah.
ancestral, the door is facing over there. So it's like,
Yeah.
that doesn't work.
And then in the fall, the sun actually rises over there. So as the season goes, the sun isn't even in the same spot
Right.
because now it's rising over there and setting towards that side. And then in the summer, it's going right overhead.
Yeah.
It moves.
Yep.
So no, it's all in. Again, it's all in. You find that space that will make a great. Now, here's the thing. Here's the one thing that kind of sucks in our situation because we're space limited, but your sacred space and your altars, there's two different kinds. Not as far as the intent, but there's two different kinds. There's the altars that again, that are more in shrines that you're going to have in like your living room and, on top of your TV stand or on one of your coffee tables in the living room, right? Then there's the altar that's really in your sacred space that you want, down in the basement, on the far side of the laundry room, so it's secluded. It's where you can really get sacred. There's not much foot traffic there. Barely anyone ever sees it but you or people that you show it to. That's something I wish I had. Do you get what I'm saying? The two different altar purposes and the two different types. You there?
Sorry. I got lost in thought. I was thinking about the time I was at the grave or the cemetery over there.
I need the
and I
beach
was like,
ball.
no,
that
I was
just
in,
twirls. He's frozen. I'm gonna make a
No.
beach ball like on the apple, and it just goes like this. and
Sorry,
then it
my
finally
brain
comes
was
back.
buffering. I was thinking about the time I was at the cemetery collecting graveyard dirt, and I was like panicking because there's a pathway right next to it. It's guarded by bushes, but like there were people starting to run by. I'm thinking, oh my god, I gotta dig this dirt so I don't get caught.
But do you guys know what I mean? There's like the altars that you want hidden away in your own sacred, safe space, and then there's the ones you're gonna put on the coffee table.
Right.
That's
actually interesting. Lori just said a Christian tradition is the wall behind the altar is the east, no matter what direction it really is.
Yeah.
Kay just said, I have a shorter bookcase and use placements sometimes to separate them each to a corner. That is awesome.
Yeah.
And Sorange said, my altar usually gets so messy. Any tips for cleanliness and maintenance? My tip is have a specific day during the week to just maintain your altars or clean them until, when you feel they get too messy. I kind of lack a bit on trying to keep them as clean.
I'm awful.
But-
Those deities, right? You know what? You're standing there, right, doing nothing, and you're a god. You can clean your own shit.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of people feel that altars, especially ancestral altars, need to be beautiful. They need to be pristine. They need to be kept 24/7. Like, you can't have a trace of dirt on it because it's disrespectful. It shows the lack of respect towards the ancestors. But at the same time, because people believe if you have a messy altar, it means it's been neglected. But not true, because Dave uses his altar all the time. It just looks messy because he uses it so much.
And that's the thing. It's like I'm in a compact space, and I have multiple things going on. So it looks like a cluttered mess. Now,
Okay,
it's
you
not,
need to show your altar because everyone's now asking.
it's not dirty or anything like that. Hold on. I gotta get this table out of the way.
Hold on. Oh, that's like up close. Hey guys. So, of how to maintain it in cleanliness. So while he's kind of
right,
moving this stuff, I'm just gonna quickly. Okay, I guess I'm not talking. I'll talk after.
Yeah,
You can flip it,
I do. I know how to flip it. It's not like I'm a technology guy. Let's flip this thing. Okay, so this is my this is actually my crystal wall of power here. Oh, and the can of bug spray that's up there. But this is where my deities are. If your phone is like so freaking bad focusing, right? You have Apollo on the left. That's Zeus, and that's Diana, or Artemis I follow it through Rome, so because I'm Italian, so I call her Artemis. Now, so this one, oh, excuse me, is that's my general working altar, right? So I have a lot going on. That I'm working with some ancestors. So that candle holder, when I light that candle, it just reminds me of some
Yeah, I got
ancestral
you for
stuff.
Christmas.
Yes. Jesus is right over there. When I'm, Sunday morning, that's where my focus is, and there's Persephone. So I have a time thing that it's just a spell, a ritual that I'm doing. I don't want to
Actually,
get into it, but I'm using the hourglass for that.
I just realized something that I don't think
Aggie for
you're.
cleansing.
Wait, hold on.
Yep.
I just realized something that I'm not really sure if you were aware of, Dave. But did
What?
you know that all three of those deities actually work well together? Because Persephone. Oh no. Yes. Persephone and Semity represent death, and just Jesus represents life. So it's the balance of life and death.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's us, and this is how it happens. Things just start
Oh,
feeling
and
right.
Persephone is the connection between worlds of the dead and the living.
Yeah, because isn't she the one that
Yes, she
she?
travels to the underworld
Yeah,
half
it's
of the
six.
year and then
Yeah,
comes to the
6 months.
upper
6
world.
months.
Yeah. That's so cool. He has death, life, and the connection, the bridge between the two.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, how do we flip back here?
Yeah, just press that
Boy,
button.
mine. Oh, there
There
we
we go.
are.
Okay.
There you
Oh,
go.
here, I'll take it. Oh, awkward. Too close. Too
Oh,
close. You can see my rolls.
rolls and rolls.
My lumps and bumps. So, back to cleaning. Um, what was I going to say? Hold on. Tips for cleanliness and maintenance. Um, Honestly, just have a designated day once or twice during the week to just maintain your altars. So, for example, for me, I clean my altars every Sunday or Monday at the end of the week or at the beginning of the week.
What's that? Sorry, I was reading a text.
Oh, just
I
how to
was
keep
being a
maintain your altars.
millennial.
And you can even have it for certain things. So, for example, on certain things. So, for example, for my ancestral altar, I will do a full clean of it. Like literally, I'll clean everything head to toe. I'll refill and clean all the glasses, refill them on Sunday or Monday, and then midweek on Wednesdays, I will then change out all the liquids. And then just do a quick little dust with our little Swiffer sweeper thing, just to get all any light dust off of the shelves. Um, and then if I did have food offerings that you do leave there, it's best to change those like every day so you don't get like rotting stuff and maggots. But yeah,
I don't. Yeah, I don't
it's
put
just
a.
stuff like that. So if it's perishable food, if it's food offerings, you want to kind of change those every day. If it's liquids, change them midweek, and then a grand big clean once a week.
That's why I don't do food offerings.
Me neither,
I
because it's
just
just
burn
too.
stuff.
It's just too much sometimes.
So what do you guys think? I have to say, what do you guys think of my messy altars now? I think they're biggest. um, Savannah says, I love the little house thingy. It's just a candle. Yeah, it's just a candle holder. It
Oh,
for some reason it just gives me a feeling of ancestor. I don't know if it's because it's old looking or it looks like a house. I don't know, but it gives me that ancestral feeling that almost sparks that feeling of like when you were a kid, you know? Yeah.
I like it.
Like
I have
it,
no idea what you
like
said.
it,
I wasn't paying
like it,
attention.
like it. You never pay attention.
No,
Buffalo
sorry,
again.
because I was reading some comments here. So hold on. I'm just gonna scroll up again.
Oh, thanks, Kay. She didn't think it was messy.
My Egyptian deity.
It's not really messy.
Oh wait, hold on. So Saranj said, "My Egyptian deities like to be hidden away from everyday life. There used to be the inner sanctum. Oh, they're used to the inner sanctum. Any tips for keeping them out of the way but still convenient? Um, Store them in kind of like a shelfy thing, or like
What's a
a
shelfy thing?
side table. You know how side tables have like the drawer and then there's like a little shelf underneath that. I have one that actually used to be for Babaluaye till I took his altar down because he is a deity that likes to be very quiet. He likes places that are darker
Which
and
one are you
kind of
talking
kept
about?
away.
Which?
That right there.
Oh,
That
you
has
mean?
that has my tarot cards in it right now.
Oh, you mean
My
like one of
tarot
those?
decks.
It's like
It's like the side bed.
Hold on. Yes.
Yeah, the bed.
A nightstand.
Nightstand. That
It's
has
just
the
got the
drawer
one
that
little
opens
drawer,
up,
and
then
then
like
it's
the little thing
underneath. It's like a
just
little
to
shelf.
store random things.
Yeah.
That's a good way where to put them. Where
Those
they're out
make-
of the way but still convenient.
Those make great altars, and you can pull the drawer out,
And put like
throw
your
the drawer
incense
away,
and whatnot.
and get rid of the freaking drawer, and in that cubby put some stuff too. Make another altar. Yeah, you can pull that drawer out
Why don't you just put the altar in the drawer?
because if you want it seeable.
Oh, true.
You don't want to pull the altar in and out, shaking like earthquake
Shake-
bacon.
It's like shake bake.
It's like shaking
It's the
like
shake and bake
earthquake
altar.
bacon.
I use cloth for now, but open to new ideas. It depends. Certain things I'll put altar cloth underneath. Like my ancestral altar, it goes back and forth. Sometimes I put white underneath my ancestral altar. Sometimes I don't really care to put anything under it. It really depends on if you're bugged out about how messy it gets. Me, when I get candle drippings or anything, or even dust on cloth, it just drives me insane, and I feel like I have to wash it like every day. If you're not that person that wants to like, or is bothered by it, then by all means go ahead, put cloth underneath. I'm the type of person that freaks out if anything gets on my pristine looking altar setup. So that's why I've taken away the altar cloths and I just put it smack on whatever surface because I feel it's a lot easier to clean that way and a lot quicker and more efficient.
So I've heard that about Egyptian, people that work with Egyptian deities. They can be, they can be a little bit. They want to be away from things. I've never worked with any Egyptians deities, but my Greco-Roman deities, they're fine right there. They're, they're kind of in a little bit of a corner. But they're not hidden away.
A little trick, Sarana. I don't know if you knew this, but the best way to keep your cups or serving or all the best way to keep your offering cups super clean and not have to clean them as frequent is wash your cups, or even if you want to do this with plates that you're leaving on your altar, wash them with soap and hot water and then rinse them with Florida water and then dry it. It makes them super squeaky clean, and they will last like that for like days, and actually you could go almost a whole week without having to redo them because I don't know what it is about it. It just makes them so clean that the dirt just doesn't collect as fast as if you just rinsed the cup with
Yeah,
water.
but what about the food that's on top of them? That ain't gonna sit there a week. You'll have.
Well,
like,
no, I'm
mold.
talking about like the water and liquid offerings in cups because she
Yeah,
said.
Yeah, but if it's like a liquid that's like orange juice or ew.
No, but actually no, because I've done it with actually yeah, because I've done it with coffee, tea, water. It doesn't.
I would never
get
leave
that bad
out.
that quickly.
Now stuff with alcohol, like rum, you could leave that out for a week
For a week.
because it's alcohol.
Well, no, because Sarana just said her biggest complaint, their biggest complaint, like her deities, is dust and water that gets dirty in unwashed cups. So I'm just giving a tip on how to get that to last a little bit longer.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, I gotcha. Booping.
What's on TV? Okay.
Ah!
It's a purdy thing.
It's a purity. Yeah, it's a purity thing.
Oh, purity.
Yes.
I thought it said purdy.
Yeah, the Egyptians used to think the Romans were dirty.
Oh, yeah.
They were. The Egyptians also, the pharaohs, they believed that believed that they were gods that walked the earth. They were very I don't want to say elitists, but kind of. Yeah, it's very fascinating.
Yeah.
I gotta start. I love to watch documentaries and stuff. And
Anyways, you guys, I think we're gonna
How long's
wrap
it been?
that up for now. It's been almost 70 minutes. An hour and 10 minutes.
Wowzers.
Wow, that actually went a lot longer than I was expecting. If you guys have any more questions on altars or anything of the sort, just drop a line down in comments down below the video. Obviously, after this video is going, because this is live right now. So after this,
Yes. Yeah, so that's just, they're nuts though. Several baths a day, yeah, perfumes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah, they were.
Yep.
They were
So, yeah, no problem, Lori. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. It was a lot of fun. Tomorrow we will be going live, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Popcorn Party. So we hope to see you. Bye, guys. Love y'all.